Good morning, all. We're just going to give anyone who's currently joining just one more minute to complete their dial-in. So we shall be back to you very shortly. So good morning. Welcome all, and thank you very much for joining us on today's webinar. Great to see so many of you, even if it is virtually. Just some housekeeping. I need to let you all know that we're recording today's presentation. That way we can make it available to you along with the slides, and we will do so over the next day or so. So if anything that you see resonates with you, we'd love you to reach out to your account manager or your person in support or your consultant or anyone on the team, really. Any of us would be delighted to hear from you. So you don't know what you don't know. It's a very overused adage, but that's because it's a true one. SAP Business One is such a huge application. And we know from talking to you guys that most of us use it the same way that we have since our go live. I mean, that's what's familiar. It's what we do. But more than likely, the way that you do business has changed, particularly over the last couple of years. There are possibly features and functionalities in SAP Business One that may actually better suit your new way of doing business. You might not even know they're there. So what we're going to run through is a sample of what is available. We're using version 10, which was released in 2020, and it's the only version in mainstream maintenance, and it actually will be right up until the end of June 2025. And what we cover here may give you further thoughts on how your system can work better for your business. It might just even encourage you to reach out and investigate what's currently in your menu. So it's not going to be a long and boring presentation, but perhaps there's something in your business that could be automated, or a manual process you might have always done outside of the system that you can integrate into it, just to give you some food for thought. So what we're going to show you today is already available in SAP Business One. You've already made that main investment, so why not get it working the way that suits the way you do business? So just to have a quick look at the agenda here, we are going to touch upon accessing SAP through the web client. We'll cover off connecting your email to your SAP application using Outlook integration. We'll have a very, I guess, brief selection of some of the functional enhancement, and we'll only be able to touch on a handful of them, I guess, in this session. Also, we want to make sure that you are ensuring your data safety and avail of proactive monitoring if that's what you need with our SAP Business One in our cloud. And also managing volumes of invoices with your suppliers using invoice automation and the built-in machine learning. I guess it will remove a headache from your hardworking back-end team. And obviously no presentation would be complete without a nod to Brexit. And in this instance, just how SAP have managed it in their new post-Brexit localization. So I'm going to pass over to Connor and Richie to dive in, and over to you guys.
Okay, thanks, Sally. Hi, everybody. My name is Connor. I'm an account manager, and I'm based in our head office here in Dublin. I'm an account manager for our Irish customers. So as Sally said, we're just going to go through a few functions. It's not everything. we're just going to touch on a few bits and pieces that might give you a little bit more information. Okay, the first thing is the web client overview. So what is the web client? The web client allows you to access your SAP data through a web browser like Google Chrome. So if you're out and about, you don't have you don't want to have to connect into a VPN and then remote desktop into SAP. You can access your SAP data through Google Chrome and through a login process that gets you directly into your SAP data. It still uses all the same SAPB1 core processes and business logic. So that's all straightforward. It's available for both SQL and the SAP HANA versions. So it's the exact same client service installed on your server for both of those systems. What it allows you to do is allows you to create, process, and update your sales, your purchases, and your service transactions. So they're increasing the functionality all the time and adding some of those functions that you would normally just see in the SAP client, but they're adding it into the web client now as well. I've just provided a URL to a slideshow, another slideshow or video that can give you a lot more information about the web client. So we'll just move on to the next one. So this is just to show you what it looks like. You can see here that it's a new look, I suppose. They've been enhancing objects that they've delivered in the product over the past year. So on this one, we can see they've enhanced some business partners, items, activities, sales quotes, sales orders. They've put on the returns, credit memos, reserve invoices. They also support outgoing serial and batch number and bin location selection. You can see also there you've got some nice analytics. So there's enhanced analytics capabilities. There's also a thing they call the Me area. So it allows you to customize the screen for yourself. You might want to see all of the functionality in the web client, maybe just a couple of analytics screens, a couple of dashboards. So that's called the Me area. We go on to the next slide. Again, like what I could say is that they're constantly enhancing the web client as well. In this slide, we can see that they've added the service module. The service module in the client allows you to create and process service calls through a web client. It also allows you to see the service calls and the solution knowledge database list view. So you can actually see all parts of the service call information. You can see them side by side on tiles. That's the type of thing that they're adding to the system as well. So that's the web client service module. Again, they've continuously enhanced what they've delivered. So in addition to the service module, now they've displayed the notification center. So you can see when service calls might be assigned to you, or when activities would be assigned to you if you're a technician or just out on the road. So the same notifications that are in SAP standard client will be available in the web client. They've added new features like the ability to view and manage your business partner addresses in the web client. They've also recently added the goods receipt POs and AP invoice screens where you can manage, process, and create GRPOs and AP invoices. They can also launch in ad mode. So as well as just viewing and managing, you can actually add GRPOs and AP invoices through the web client now. The next screen, web client also supports payments. So you can perform incoming and outgoing payments for either business partners or direct to GL. That's a nice new feature there. Also on the web client, we have timesheet entry. So you can create timesheets, you can update or create new ones for users, employees, or for external contractors. That data goes directly back into SAPB1 for reporting purposes. Some of the more advanced features that we would see in the web client is around usability, around collaboration of information. So using Teams, which is a tool that we use a lot internally here, and more people are using Teams, and that's expanding its functionality. And one area is that it integrates with the web client. The SAP web client can integrate with Teams. So you can access dashboards and charts directly in Teams when you're, again, without having to access direct into the SAP database. It just improves collaboration. Allows you to get at that information really quickly and in a nice visual format. Another thing we want to point out to you is it's been there a while, but not a huge amount of people use it, where there's a standard add-on called Outlook integration, where you can save an Outlook email as an activity into SAPB1. You can also create quotations in the Outlook integration add-on that can post into SAPB1. You can create quotations in SAP that are available for the Outlook integration add-on, where you can update them and edit them in Outlook and then send them on through Outlook. So there's also, you can also, even if you don't have the SAP standard client installed on your machine, you can still create activities or quotes from within Outlook that post directly into SAPB1. Okay. The next slide here is that Outlook it's used in most places. So we've actually added our own enterprise plugins that allow you to create and update service calls. We use it ourselves in our service department. It also allows you to create activities and attach them to service calls. So you can just click on them and update an activity in SAP. And they're extending that functionality to opportunities, where you'll be able to create and manage opportunities and create activities based on opportunities. That's coming soon for the enterprise plugins. Okay, and as Sally mentioned, we picked out what we thought were some nice features, enhancements to SAPB1 version 10, but there's an awful lot more that you'll be receiving additional documentation on. So I just picked out ones that over time I've experienced the need for customers. One of the first ones is that, go down 2 slides there, we can see the new skin style. It's called Belize Deep, and it's available in the HANA system. A lot of people have been saying that there's the SAP looked a bit old-fashioned, I suppose, and the screens were dull and outdated. So SAP have provided what they consider a modern and a fresh new look and feel, and that's called the Belize Deep view. And it's actually quite similar to the web client interface, and so they're trying to merge them and make them all look the same. Again, just something recently I come across that, as Sally said, you don't know what you don't know. There's a really great feature in SAPB1 where you can actually copy and paste from Excel into SAPB1. So for example, if you receive a sales order or information in Excel, you can copy that information and paste it directly into a sales order in SAP, and it will fill down. That's a particularly useful thing. You can also do that now in version 10 on user-defined tables. Okay, another big thing, and as soon as this came out, our chief financial officer was delighted. He said, at last, he's been wanting this for years in SAPB1, where you can actually run a report now, like a P&L report, and you can drill directly down to the GL account from the report. Previously, you would have to run the report, find an anomaly, close the report, find the account and open it up and then view it. Well, you can actually just drill directly into it now. A huge time saver, and just something that makes life a little easier. It's available in the balance sheet, the trial balance, and the P&L. And actually, just even a new enhancement to that is that you can actually refresh the screen in a lot of those GL reports as well after you run them. Without having to exit and run again, you can actually refresh on screen. So that was the drill down on financial reports. There's a new function in version 10 around updating bill of materials components, where you can mass replace and change one component to another component, or update components en masse across all of your bill of materials or across selections. That's a powerful tool. And the production side of things, if you've got attachments to your bills of materials, when you create a production order, those attachments will now flow into the production order. Okay, another one, another really neat addition is the open items list additional fields, where you can see on the screen there now. If you run the open items list previously, it was just, you just got what you had there. That was it. There was no, you couldn't add a whole lot of additional information. Now you can add additional fields to the grid. Like, for example, I always thought it was missing the sales employee. It was previously, but the sales employee is now available there. So you can run the open items list sales orders and filter by sales reps and send that out to your sales reps. There's also lots of additional fields you can filter on the open items list by, plus user-defined fields can also now be filtered on the open items list. The next slide is version 10.
Oh, sugar, I was going the wrong way.
Sorry, we just malfunction. Here we go. The next one is around the authorizations in version 10. You can now set authorizations for that users can't see particular tabs in business partners. So that's a nice feature if you wanted to hide specific information. You needed customers to have your users to have access to the master records, but certain tabs you don't want them to access to, you can now apply authorizations to that. SAP have moved all documentation to the help portal. Really useful portal. You should start looking at that, and you get a great bit of information about the SAPB1 product and about SAP in general. A particular point that I always found was a bit awkward was when you created queries. If you got the name wrong, whatever, you couldn't rename them, but you can now. So you can rename queries if you just get the name wrong, or typos, whatever. Now you can actually rename queries. In general, in documents, when you have attachments on, say, a sales quote or a sales order, if that's the base document. When you copy to a target document, the attachments will now flow to the target document. So an example would be if you create a sales quote and you attach items to it, that's the base document. If you copy that to a sales order, that's the target document. Attachments will also flow. There's a new document status information there on marketing documents, where if you have an order that is still open, but you've emailed it, previously it would just have said open. It now will say that it's opened and emailed, or printed and emailed. So that's enhancements to the document status field. For those of you who work in project management, you're all familiar with Gantt charts. So there is an interactive Gantt chart inside the project management module now. The next one there is that in production, another one I picked out, again from recent discussions with the customer, is that previously you're not able to change the description of a bill of material on a production order. You had to take the bill of materials name and you couldn't edit it. Now you can copy a bill of materials into production order, but you can change the description of that production order. That's again, I just picked a few of the main thing, I suppose, enhancements that I think. There's a huge amount more. As I said, and Sally said, we'll be sending out a lot more information. If you see something that we've gone through there, or if you have any thoughts about, oh, I wish I had this functionality, make sure you give us a buzz. We're here to discuss and to discuss any new enhancements or anything you might want to have in SAPB1 to make your life easier, automation, or it could be just a simple function that you don't know about. Okay, please feel free to give your account manager a ring. And with that, I'm going now to hand over to my good colleague Richie. Sorry, Richie.
Thanks very much, Connor. Good morning to everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Richie Gawkin, and I work with our client mainly on the UK side of the business. I want to speak to you about a few points today, starting with a topic that's probably top of a lot of people's agenda, which is cloud, and some of the benefits that the cloud might bring to your business. So I guess the first important point is that SAP can be hosted in the cloud, and that's a service that Milner Browne can provide and can offer to you, hopefully with a number of benefits that can bring. So if you're in any way concerned with infrastructure, servers, you're planning on what you're going to be doing with SAP and where it is going to be held over the coming years, then it's certainly an option that you may wish to consider. So what are the benefits that we can bring by offering cloud hosting through Milner Browne? So point number one, we have a single point of support, both for software and hardware. So currently, if you're engaged with dealing with any issues with SAP, as and when they may arise, you may have to be making that determination. Is this a software problem? Is it a hardware problem? Do I need to engage with an IT department or an external IT company and go back and forward until you can determine where the problem is? Really, we can help you to eliminate that whole process. So any issues with SAP, you can really begin by logging a ticket either by email or telephone with our support team, and irrespective of whether it's a platform issue or whether it's a software particular issue, we can deal with the issue in the same way. So we could be troubleshooting, resolving the issue, and keeping you updated along the way, irrespective of which camp a particular support ticket might fall into. We also have, when it comes to costing, we can really take away that process of having big capital expenditure that may have to go on provisioning servers and having those configured with maybe additional services, and take the cost of provisioning an SAP Business One system into a fixed monthly predictable fee that you can budget for accordingly. The environments are scalable. So we can, whether you're streamlining your business and you're cutting back on the number of people that you have to employ, or whether you're going the other way and you're having to hire additional staff for your business, we can scale the cloud platform accordingly to go and meet the current demands of your business. And moving on to something very dear to everyone's hearts is security. So our cloud environment in every instance of that comes with the usual protections that you will have from external threats. So things like firewalls that are configured to allow maybe integrated applications to connect to your SAP Business One instance. We can whitelist IP addresses, VPN, site-to-site connections, all of these common things we can have that meet your security policies and protocols. But we also have protection against perhaps maybe some internal threats and data loss. So as well as any database backups that you may have running within your environment, as a standard, we will have all of your environment, whether that's one server or multiple servers, being backed up every 24 hours. So whether we have some data corruption, we'll be able to roll back your entire environment to a particular point in time to help you mitigate against any of those additional threats. And finally, in terms of cloud hosting, we look after the environment proactively. So we have a team of engineers who are specifically tasked with looking at things like CPU usage, RAM utilization. Are you running out of hard disk space? All of these types of things. And our aim and goal is to proactively draw these to your attention, take or suggest some action that can be taken, take that action in accordance with your wishes, and make sure that your system is operating and functioning at its fullest to minimize any downtime experience. So if that's of interest, please get in touch and we can give you a bit more information if you contact your account manager. The next point I would like to talk to you about is streamlining with respect to finance, and in particular accounts payable, and that job that no one really likes of processing supplier invoices. So how might we be able to help you in that regard? So we have with our enterprise product, we have built into the solution some functionality that will allow you to do some automation around purchase invoice processing. So it's really about capturing, matching, processing, and then eventually paying those invoices. So if we can go into the next screen, we can have a view and just a small view there of what enterprise looks like. If you haven't seen it before, I would encourage you again to reach out to your account manager and we can go through this in a bit more detail. But when it comes to capturing, two methods that we can use to capture purchase invoices from your supplier and add them to the platform. Number one is you can take a PDF, you can upload that to the enterprise platform through the web browser just by clicking an upload button as we have here. Secondly, we can actually have a dedicated email address for you. So we can, and whether that's maybe using one of your own email addresses and we forward that to the enterprise platform, we can do that as well. But we can have a mailbox. The mailbox is scanned. We scrape from that any PDF attachments. We will then upload those to the enterprise platform. And then on the next slide, we're really getting into the step of saying, now we have the PDFs, we've extracted the data, what are we doing next? Well, we're actually matching that against the data that you already have in SAP. So that's outstanding purchase orders or open purchase orders where you're expecting to receive the supplier invoice. But we can actually match against GRPOs, and we can do both at the same time. And in this screen here, you can see just down on the right-hand side of this grid, for each one of those purchase invoices that have come in and been received. Some have errors which have to be resolved. Some have matched automatically. But for each, we can either approve the purchase invoice, we can reject it outright, or we can actually then go and edit the details of the matching that has been done through the enterprise platform. So on our next screen is really quite a simple view that you might have when you're dealing with a particular line on a purchase invoice that has arrived into the system. And we're now looking for a given supplier, some outstanding elements that we will have for that supplier. So we may have matched it against widget A, but it was actually widget B that was on the invoice. So we can now go in and make a manual correction. And the beauty of this system is that it employs machine learning. So every time that you're making an amendment to say this is actually a VAT number and not a company number, or this is actually the item that should have been matched and not the item that the algorithm had suggested, the system learns and the system adapts so that the next time that you receive an invoice from that particular supplier, the system is going to do a better job as you continue to use it and as you go through and continue to go and process supplier invoices. So hopefully that might be of interest to you, and again, reach out if that appeals to what you're doing as a business. And finally, the piece I would like to speak to you around is some actions that SAP have taken in response to the UK leaving the EU, aka Brexit. So it's important to note that in response to that, SAP had created a specific localization. And this is, yes, predominantly for companies who are based in the UK, who will be trading in the UK, but for many of our Irish clients as well, who will have operations in the UK, it may apply to both sets of customers. But there is historically speaking, we had one localization, which was I suppose a merger of UK law and Irish law, because both were historically very similar. And now we have a new localization, which is called United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So it's not a short name, but it does employ all of the legal and fiscal rules that we have to adhere to when we are having any business operations within the UK. And as things progress and rules change as we move forward, SAP will continue to keep that up to date. And they say that it's the only localization that will fall into that category. So how can, if you're not on that already, how can you move from the kind of merged and joined UK and Ireland localization to the new one? So you can do that. There's a utility that can be run, and that utility is available in version 10, and there's just a small routine that we have to run, which will convert from one to the other. So if you haven't done that yet, and you think it might be applicable to you, it's certainly worthwhile having a look at and having a chat about. Within that localization, we have tax reporting, and more specifically, links with making tax digital. So making submissions of your VAT return directly to HMRC through the software can be done in that localization. And as that system changes and evolves through time, SAP again will keep that up to date. And one thing that's came about recently this year in April the 1st is that of plastic packaging tax. So I know that will apply to many of you. If you're not sure if it does, I believe the rules are that if you are engaged in either importing or manufacturing any plastic packaging, and there is a threshold, which I believe is 10 tonnes in a year. If you reach that threshold, then you may have to register to pay plastic packaging tax. And so one of the functions that SAP has in one of the recent patch releases is to give you functionality to help you to assess what your tax liability would be in that regard as well. So it's just some of the things that we have that's specific to this new localization. There are many more, and obviously we can engage with you in a conversation and look at what your particular requirements might be. So with that, I'll pass back over to Sally.
Great, thanks, Rich. Let me just start my video here. So what I want to do is just a quick switch over to move the emphasis from SAP to Milner Browne, just while I wrap up. We want to help you maximize your investment in B1 and give you value as a partner. Yeah, we provide support and consultancy, BI, account management, and all the general stuff. But there are some other options that we're working on internally, and we look forward to rolling out in the coming weeks. We are looking to build a templated, I don't know what we're going to call it, but call it a monthly support report for this case. It will include metrics relevant to you as an individual customer, like open and close support tickets within a period of time, system performance for our hosting sites, any upcoming webinars or training sessions relevant to your system or your business. The building of this template's in progress. We let you know when to expect it. We want it to be a productive touch point for you and your account manager. We will also be further regularizing review meetings. So chat to your account manager and schedule a catch-up. Guess it'll give you the opportunity to go through anything relevant or talk about anything coming further down the line. And backed by popular demand is our Milner Browne Academy. So it's clearly the best opportunity to make your users SAP B1 experts in your business. We let you know the dates in advance, but due to the success that we had the last time we ran it online, we're going to do it that same way again. It means we can host as many of your team and your B1 users as you like, and make them all experts within your business. And finally, we are going to be creating a new website. It's going to be loaded with tips and tricks, training videos, white papers, and again, be a great touch point for the B1 users in your organization. And I would be delighted to hear from you if you have any other ideas. We really want to help you get the most from your system. So don't hesitate to pop me an email, sally@milnerbrowne.com, and I will review all suggestions. So I guess it just remains to say, well, thanks to Connor and Richie, of course, for the great presentation. And that's it. Thank you all for attending. Hopefully you have taken something useful away, even if it's only one of the small snippets that might make a big difference to how you operate. If you do have any queries over something that was covered or maybe something that wasn't covered, reach out to us, give us a shout. If you've popped any questions in the chat or in the Q&A box, we'll be back to you on these shortly. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm going to send out a copy of this webinar and the slide deck that we've used here. Feel free to share it with the rest of your team. Thanks for joining us, and watch this space for the next session. Take care all. Bye-bye.